This is Getting Your Edge, How to Right Size Your Home and Life podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Day, along with our co-host, Judy Gratton. Judy, say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And we are here to help you right size your life. We like to say less house, more home, and discover downsizing with us. Because our episode here today is talking about downsizing into a retirement community. I have our guest today is Cayce Miller. He is the sales manager of the Fairwinds Brighton Court, Lynnwood assisted living retirement community. And he's here to tell us about his community and about retirement communities in general. So welcome, Cayce. Why don't you start out by telling us a little about yourself and your role? Full disclosure, Cayce is my nephew. He's got good information for us.
Because he's your nephew, right?
Because.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much. A little bit about me. I've actually been in this role here for 1 year, just a little over 1 year now. I found this job on one of those Google job search. I don't want to use their name probably. This was suggested to me as a good fit. So I applied and I knew the moment I walked through the door that I wanted to work at Fairwinds Brighton. So I've been here a little bit over a year now, and I absolutely love a little bit about what I do. My job is to reach out to future residents, to family members, and helping people take the next step into retirement living. And really, it's about creating a culture in our community as well. My job is to really, what I sense when I walk through the door is try to find a way to create that same culture for other people when they walk through the door. They want to live here. But also, I do fun activities. I team up with our activity coordinator here, and we think of creative, new, fun activities to bring people in and showcase what we do have to offer.
Do you invite people to your activities from outside?
Absolutely. In fact, I create events just for them, something that we haven't seen before, try to bring new people in with different creative activities. Yes.
Absolutely. Could you give us an example of something recent?
Sure. We're actually we have a bistro. And in our bistro, we are doing a event called Forgotten Spirits. And what it is, forgotten cocktails over the course of history. So we do a little research and on these cocktails, and then we make them and do a presentation on these cocktails and then give out some samples. And it's just a fun way to bring people into something maybe they haven't thought of.
Can you tell us a little bit about your facility and, what sets it apart from others in the area, do you think?
Sure. Really, I think it's a way of thinking of how I mentioned when I walk through the door at culture, but really it starts with ownership. And our community has been owned by the same local family for 35 years, which really creates a lot of stability. And the thought process and something we think of every day when we start thinking of how we operate is under this Prime Fit Wellness program. And the way, when you think of Prime Fit, a lot of people think health, right? Like the activity, the physical portion, but there's so much more to health and well-being. So we talk about it being a physical, we talk about it being mental, emotional, social, and communal. And then having a good balance of different events throughout our community that can really fulfill all those areas of need in people's health. And I think that's unique. I think when you start looking into communities,
And what type of amenities and services are you offering to the residents there?
yeah, really when you break it down, a lot of people move in because they're lonely. They have loneliness at home, bridging that gap to helping them get a little bit more involved in specific things that will help them feel more at home, right? And it's going to be different.
Do you have apartments or what type of living setup is it for people?
Yeah, great question. We have 182 apartments in our community.
Oh, wow.
We are actually independent living and have assisted living here in our community. We have what's called a floating license. So what that means is in the majority of our apartments, there is the ability to live in that apartment independently with no assisted living care, but you can age in place a little bit. So if you ever do need any help or extra care, that license is there and we can provide that extra service when needed. And that can come and go. Somebody that moves in from maybe a rehab community might need a little bit higher level of care, but once they have recovered, their baseline might be completely independent. So it gives people that flexibility and option.
That's great.
So, what kinds of things talked about? The food is so important because there you got it 3 times a day, and if it's awful, it can be a difficult experience for somebody living there. So, tell us about your how you serve the food and what options the residents have.
What's nice here, and I actually eat gluten free. I do not have a celiac, but I just feel like I feel better eating gluten free. And a lot of people that come in and tour experience the same type of living. So we have a lot of variety. We have two different places to eat throughout the community. So we have a bistro that's going to serve more like soup, salad, sandwiches, kind of milkshakes, special coffees, things like that. And then we have a restaurant as well, and they will serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We actually have a full menu. On top of the menu, there's always a steak option, a fish option, and lots to choose from. And then we'll have two specials on the day to choose from, and special desserts or a soup, vegetable of the day, a soup of the day, a salad of the day. But you're right, cooking for 180 the challenge. We have a box where people can voice their concerns. It's important you can't get better if you don't know. And Cal, our head chef, is amazing here. He takes time out. I see him all the time, taking time out of his day to sit with residents to learn. Food's very social. We have a lot of activities around. So it's very important.
And you can handle dietary needs, gluten free, low sodium, vegetarian. You're able to handle those types of things.
We actually have a vegetarian menu as well, which is great. Gluten free is actually a topic that's a little more challenging.
Mhm.
To be true gluten free, community has to have really a separate kitchen. So we can handle a gluten free bread and options for them, but to completely remove the
Mm.
possibility of cross contamination, it's very challenging. I don't know many communities that can completely offer that.
Right.
But our computer system's great because we can put in dietary restrictions and then it'll actually won't let us put in anybody's order without it alerting us, letting us know that there's an ingredient. We have one resident here allergic to garlic. It's a very challenging, but she's lived here a long time and we've been able to manage that.
So what is the average age of people at Fairwinds?
So I think that's changed a little bit with COVID. Obviously, you can move in at the age of 62 in our community, but the average age is in the 80s right now. And I think that went up a couple of years with people really just wanting to stay in their home during those COVID years as long as they could. And then on the flip side, we saw maybe a little bit more loneliness from that as well, isolation. And there's two sides of that health coin, isn't
How about pets? Do you allow people to bring their pets?
we have a pet policy. There are some limitations. Can't bring a poisonous snake,
You can bring any snake.
but two cats, small dogs, something that people can handle is important. Always on a leash. So we do have some just to really keep everybody safe.
Do you have an outdoor area for people that have dogs?
I know we're in Lynnwood, and a lot of people hear our address on 196th, and they a lot of times when I'm talking to them on the phone, they might have written us off just thinking of our location. But people drive by us every day and don't know we're here. We're pushed off the road a little bit. It's very green. We are right next to Bulge Park here in Lynnwood, almost in Edmonds.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people know us from being next to the ice rink, but it is very quiet, which surprises people. We have a beautiful horseshoe courtyard. with a rose garden and a couple gazebos in there for places for people to read. And we do activities out there. It surprises people when they come and visit us.
How about can people bring their cars?
Complimentary with every apartment, you get a parking spot.
And are the apartments like studio, one bedroom? Are there choices or
You do. We have choices between studios, one bedrooms and two bedrooms.
oh, parking was the thing in the
Oh,
size
yeah.
unit.
Everybody gets a parking space.
And when is your event that you have coming up, the 35-year anniversary?
So that is September 26th from 1:30 to 4:30.
Can we post that on our
Oh,
site?
would you? That'd be
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Mhm.
We did create on our Facebook page, we did create an event already. It's up and able to view. And for outside guests, obviously it'll be free. We're gonna have cocktails and food and music and big champagne toast. So it could be a fun event.
Can you talk a little about the transition? We've worked with several people that are moving from a longtime family home and downsizing into, in fact, your grandmother, my mother, we've done this a couple of times. And this is a tough one. So tell us the steps that are involved in transitioning a new resident into your facility. And how do you help them and their families through this process?
I think this is the hardest part of my job when
Mhm.
somebody has lived in their home for 20, 30 years. There's levels to that question because you got memories in that, you have belongings, and to go through those belongings and decide what am I going to take with me. And a lot of times people get hung up the most on the photos, the pictures, and they have family heirlooms and maybe they have nowhere for them to really go. And so this is a challenge. Obviously, we have outside resources, people that we have relationships with that can help a little bit more in depth. We have good suggestions for people, but we also have those resources to help people have somebody come in the home, walk them through some ideas maybe that they hadn't thought of before. And it's going to be different for everybody. And the people that we have a relationship with, they're very good at what they do.
Go with the next step.
Okay. The next step is really somebody might be giving up certain things in their home, but what are they gaining moving forward? And that's important. We focus more on that. Is it the socialism? Is that going to be something that is going to be really help that individual progress? It's going to be different for everybody.
Do you have a welcome committee or a process that you go through that helps? Although you're right, some people are going to want to come in and they're not going to really want to socialize at all, and others are really looking for that. But what are some of the things you do to help them get integrated into the community?
Yeah. This is very important. We talk about this every day. So we actually have a full-time employee. Her name's Priscilla. She is a moving coordinator. So her job is to make sure when people commit to moving to Brighton Court, that they are going to not have anything surprise them. And that's great, including helping with finding movers. We have a relationship with moving companies because the last thing you want to do is call your family and have them move a bunch of heavy furniture. You got enough going on. Once they get here, though, Priscilla and really all the managers will stop in, introduce themselves. Obviously, we have welcome information, though a lot of times people are read out. They don't want to read anymore.
Mhm.
But we do have that information there for people, but we want to touch base with them often. And to really just say hi, check in. What can we do to help? How are things going? Open-ended questions. And then let them tell us what's going on. And then the more they talk, the more we know how to help.
What the toughest things that we're seeing with people is selling the house because they need those funds to make the move too. Do you have any suggestions along those lines?
I see all types of transitions. I do see easier transitions with people making the move before selling or sometimes even listing. If they have the means available, they move the furniture and really they know they need items, TV, bed, big furniture, get comfortable in the home, and then they can come back and grab those other things that they think typically those are the easiest process transitions for people, I've noticed.
I agree.
What do you guys see?
If people can do that, but sometimes the money is not
Yeah.
there to make. Approximately, can you give an idea of what it would cost to get in to make the initial investment in living in Brighton Court?
We do take deposits. We actually have a waiting list of about 40 people right now. We have availability as well. Know they're going to move here. They've made a financial commitment, which is
Oh, that's
100% refundable deposit, but that gets them on a waiting list. And we actually have some benefits on that waiting list. They come to depositors dinners and they can join our gym and use some of our amenities that we have. So it gets them in line for maybe a specific type of apartment. They want a 2-bedroom with patio facing the courtyard. So then we can get them in line for that ideal apartment, or they have a specific timeline. They know they want to move here, but they haven't downsized enough yet. And then we take deposits directly on specific apartments. That gives people first right of refusal on that apartment if somebody else comes in.
wow, very cool.
Is there a buy-in, Casey?
There's not a buy-in.
Okay.
We are a month-to-month rent. So we would, if anybody moved in and if they just decided it wasn't for them, we would hope they would give us a good chance. But yeah, I mean, it's a 30-day notice.
That's nice. You mentioned some of the amenities. You have a gym, I hear.
Too.
What sorts of things have you got there?
I think that our activity list is, I run a drum class. There's all sorts of activities that we do here, food related things inside and outside the community. We do hiking into different parks. We're always going to the Mariners game next week, which is going to be fun. So there's a lot of activities such as that. Inside the apartment, obviously housekeeping, we provide once a week. They come in and do your linens and wash your sheets and your bed and transportation's a big one. We actually have we have a full bus that has wheelchair accessibility and then a town car as well.
Oh, wow.
For those people that just decide they don't want to drive, where they need a little help there, we actually have an 8-mile air radius around our community. We'll take them to an appointment at the grocery store and then pick them up.
Now, do those sorts of services, they probably run over and above the monthly rent?
No, those are complimentary.
So if they wanted to take a hike with the group and there's no entry fee into the area you're hiking, there's no extra cost.
You got me, yes. And we went to the casino. We've gone to see Michelle Winery, and there's a little extra cost in some events outside.
So how about customizing care when this new resident arrives? How do you set up that customization so this person is getting their needs met that might be very different from somebody else who arrived the day before?
And I think this is done ahead of a move-in. And very important.
Okay.
We don't want there to be any surprise. We have a full-time RN, and her job is sometimes she'll even go to people's homes and have an assessment. So really a sit-down conversation to come up with a plan to help that future resident really be successful living here. What kind of care, what kind of costs are associated with that? Because things change when people maybe they'd like to change something on their care plan after they move in that they didn't think about. We're always adjusting. Nothing's set in stone. Somebody moves in.
What about memory care? How do you deal with memory care?
We're not a memory care community. We have relationships with other memory care communities around us. So if memory does become a next step, we have resources for people and we can show them a few local options to help people. But I think memory's touchy because our rule is really, are people safe behind a closed door by themselves? Are they wander risk? Are they safe living here? Forgetting small things doesn't mean that anybody needs memory care. And a lot of times they will never need memory care. We suggest if this is a type of community, because you will sense a little bit of a a difference walking into different communities on level of care. But if this feels more like home, live here for as many years as you can.
How about Medicaid? Are you a facility that can take Medicaid recipients?
We're actually just a private pay community. I know that's a challenge for a lot of people.
Any advice for people who are thinking about this transition? What do you suggest?
If they're thinking about it, really, it's important to really take that time and think about why I'm thinking about it. Because if you haven't been out and visited communities, getting out and visiting a few different communities and getting a good sense of where that next step would be for you. Because if a crisis does happen, you now know at least where you would like to go or not go. In some cases, just having a plan in place is really important. And that's why I mentioned the wait list. We do have people that have put deposits down there just not ready. Don't, not to drive any fear out there, but just try not to wait until something happens. It's not an emergency. And
Mhm.
independent living is a lot of fun here. And a lot of times people move in a little later than they had thought. And they tell me all the time, I wish I would moved here 10 years ago.
Mm.
So it's something that we don't obviously tell people when they walk through the door, but you want urge people to really just explore what's out there and know what the next steps are going to look like and have a plan.
Do you encourage people to have their families become involved in this transition with them? Or what do
Abs-
you see? Do you see families helping?
Absolutely. As many family members who want to come by, we'll buy lunch. Let's get them involved in the community.
So, give us some example of some of the other community events.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We just had our summer fest. So we had live music out in the parking lot, big car show.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So,
Big barbecue. Where I know a lot of communities have similar events. We have our luau later this month coming up. We have these.
or do you have a casino?
We have a casino brought here. I mentioned the winery visit. We actually had so many people sign up for that winery visit. We couldn't get people there. So a few weeks after we did the external event, we brought the winery to us, and we had 80 people sign up and for wine tasting here in our bistro, and did a little food with it. And it was fun.
Mm.
We had a giant tea party. I didn't dress up. A lot of fancy hats and tea and time to talk and mingle. It was a good event.
Is this just, do you have additional Fairwind Brighton courts anywhere else or only in Lynnwood?
We do. Yeah. The family has expanded throughout Washington and Oregon, and it will be on. But yeah, so what's nice actually is the family for Fairwinds Brighton Court built this from the ground up 35 years ago and was their flagship community. So this is actually the first community that they ever owned.
Mentioned this that if somebody was in an apartment and then their needs changed, say they were independent living, and then now they need assisted living, are they going to have to move to another section of the building?
Boy, it's a yes and a no. I know that's complicated. We do have 182 apartments here. We do have a section of the community that was an addition, and about 42 apartments are independent.
Oh, okay.
Yes. If the level of care is ever it comes to, we would transition to an assisted living apartment.
Okay.
The rest of the community, though, can have independent and assisted living in every apartment as needed. So apartments can actually you can live independently, but if you ever need care, that floating license is there. Giant library up on the second floor, salon, foot care service, massage. There's a lot of amenities that I have touched. We have great resident council here, voted on by residents, and they actually run a store downstairs on our garden floor.
I was impressed when I visited you there, Casey. People were smiling, staff was friendly and outgoing. You had someone attending the gym. Now, is that a full-time position?
We have a full-time employee. When that employee, her name's Carrie, she's amazing. She's been in the Edmonds Lynnwood community for years. And a lot of people took yoga classes or another type of class with her outside our community, and they moved here, and they're just so excited that they already have a connection. Yeah. She's great. She helps people get comfortable with the equipment in our gym. She actually does private one-on-one physical personal training. There is a little bit of extra cost, but it's about way down. It's $10 a session
Mm.
for a half an hour of one-on-one.
I just thought having somebody in there all the time to help people understand the equipment, get in and out of the equipment was a pretty big deal. Most of the places I have visited,
Don't.
there's a room that very few people use because it's not attended by any staff members.
We have Alexa in there so people can go in there and turn on the music that they want. My office is right next door. So it's fun listening to what gets turned on. The other day, somebody turned bagpipe music on. Really
Oh my goodness.
fun for a little while.
What's the oldest resident that you have there right now?
Oh, we have 3 in the 100 club.
Wow.
And I don't know, I shouldn't say any names, but yeah, we have 3 over 100. I think
Wow.
getting
Okay.
close to 102.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow. So it's quite a variation in community.
and we have residents live here for 20 plus years, which is
Cayce, you're in the industry. What do you see happening in the future of facilities like yours?
I think there's going to be a little bit of a needs crisis. Honestly, we're getting closer to the retirement age of baby boomers, and the interesting thing we actually just talked about this recently during COVID. A lot of building stopped of not just retirement, everything, and
Yeah.
there's going to be a crisis. We're not quite at 100% right now, but we are going to be full, and every community is going to be full very soon. So there's going to be a lot of need for in-home care, and it's going to be an interesting time. I'm excited though for the generational change of seeing what communities offer within the community, because I think a lot of activities are going to change, music and all sorts of different things. I'm excited, honestly. But
Just say when us baby boomers start coming, you'll be getting all that good music.
that's what I like music-wise too.
Anything you want to add about the Fairwinds Brighton Court in Lynnwood or about assisted living, independent living that you want to add that we have missed in this?
I just really appreciate this opportunity. We work very hard to be a part of the community and communal activities where we give back. And we think just the more people learn about what we really have to offer, I think people are going to be excited to see it in person. So if it's something that you're considering out there and you stumbled upon this podcast, we'd love to host you and just pick the phone and give us a call.
Is it possible to spend a night or two as a guest?
We did have that pre-COVID. We had a guest apartment, and we don't currently. We
Okay.
do, though, have what's called a respite stay. And a respite stay is a apartment that we keep open for people that need care, maybe from a rehab community or they're being released from the hospital, but they don't feel comfortable going home right away. So they can move in here, get TV, bed, everything set up just like a hotel, but also have that care and that food provided to them.
Do you just have one or how many of those do you have?
We have 2.
Okay. Very good.
Do you have excursions to the Edmonds Community Center?
We go down there nearly every day.
That's a fantastic.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
They got so much going.
Thank you so much, Cayce. Judy, you have anything else to add?
I think that you've really covered all of it very
Yeah.
well.
I really appreciate it.
Your grandmother and my mother, she needs too much care, but I really had wished we had started there in the first place when she needed a place that had assisted living because it's such a superior place than anything I have visited. And I think she would have been much happier there. I think that's just a testament to the long term stability and the atmosphere that the staff has created for this community. I was very impressed. Best of luck to you, Cayce. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been Getting Your Edge, How to Right Size Your Home and Life.
So they can visit our website, fairwindsbrightoncourt.com. They can give us a call. We give a phone number,
Sure.
425-775 So I
I could
appreciate
sense it walking in the door. Not every place is like that.
you biased.
I know. You're my nephew. I love you. And I want
There's that too.
the best for that. But really, truly, there is a big difference in quality and just atmosphere in a community. And you really need to find the right one for you if you're looking to go to independent living or assisted living. Thank again. That's it for today's show. I hope this has been valuable. Thank you, Cayce Miller of Fairwinds Brighton Court. Thank you, Judy, so much for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.